This parable is really interesting. We're in the last days of the church's year of prayer. Next week is the last Sunday. And the theme over the past few weeks is always about judgment, about how we have handled the gift which God has given us. The gifts which God has given us. And it's interesting that this parable, as it was heard by the first hearers, the people that Jesus was talking to, would not have understood it the way we understand it. I mean, if you're a capitalist, you really like that parable about making money and on interest, right? But see, in the days of Jesus, the idea was God gave everybody what he wanted them to have. There's only so much wealth in the world. And if you were born poor, that's the way you were supposed to stay. And if you were born wealthy, that's the way you were supposed to stay. So anybody who grew in wealth, it was assumed by everybody else that they were stealing from somebody else. So the good guy in this parable, as Jesus' listeners heard it, was the one who buried his talent, saved it, and gave the master back exactly what he had been given. Now, we can't interpret it that way. You know, it's interesting, in the history of Christianity, it wasn't until the Middle Ages that we stopped thinking that making money on interest was sinful. Good grief. But then again, in the last 2 or 3 years, we may have had second thoughts about that, might we not? With the great mortgage interest crash, which was at least the blooming of our economic problems today. We might want to reconsider that. But we're 20 centuries later, and we have to read the scriptures where we're coming from. And since it is the last days of the church's year, and since the theme of these days is judgment, we might want to consider the word talent. You know, the talent that these fellows were given, a talent, according to what this man received. What did he receive exactly? 5 talents. That was 20 years' wages for a day laborer. I mean, it's an astronomical sum. A talent was a coin, but it's interesting that the word talent in English means an ability, a gift, a skill, something that we have, that we can do. And that's where we have to read the parable from, because each one of us, every single one of us, has been gifted by God with certain talents. All kinds. Ones with our hands, some with our head, some with many. And the same question is asked of us that is asked of the men in this parable. What have you done with what I have given you? What have you done with your gifts, your abilities? And there's no, say, oh, I'm just a nobody. I didn't receive much. I'm just a simple guy. I'm just a simple woman. I didn't receive it. That's not true. Everybody is gifted. First gift is life, and then everything that develops in the course of our life, which God has given us. And the question at this point in time is, for each of us, is what have I done with what I have received? And what am I supposed to do with what I have received? And I think if you read the life of Jesus and you hear it and you understand it, he's saying to us, what you have been given to give. Paul says, you have freely received, freely give. Our gifts and talents are not given to us for our personal enjoyment alone. You can enjoy them, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is to enhance the life of others, to make it possible for others who come in contact with us to live abundantly. Because as St. Irenaeus said, a human being who is fully alive is the glory of God. And most of us they tell us, are living about 45% of our life. We're in low gear. And what God is calling us to do is to enhance each other's lives, to raise the gears, if you will, to live more fully. And there are some in this room who are signing on specifically in the next few months to do that, right? With one other person. That doesn't exonerate you from using your gifts for the rest of us. But if there's one thing certain, your gifts are given to you to enhance the life of that person so that he or she can live as fully a human life as is possible, thus giving glory to God and happiness to you both. So as we come to the end of the church's year of prayer, the year of grace, we need all of us to examine ourselves. What have I done with what I have been given? And what do I intend to do in the future with God's gifts to me?